What up, what up? Kicking off another exciting episode of Sports at Night. Real fans, real talk. As always, I'm your host, Todd Knight. And joining me today, we welcome back Bill Murray and our producer, Josh Hill.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
I also want to point out, I don't normally do a shout out on attire for obvious reasons, but this jersey here, I mean, how do I not make a shout out to the Vancouver Grizzlies big Country Reeves Bryant?
90s NBA
That
right there.
is, it doesn't get much more vintage than that.
I'm just happy this still fits. I wore this in high school, guys.
Right, which
That's
was
amazing.
which was like at least
Still,
10 years ago.
Still sexy as ever.
Right?
Yeah.
At least 10 years ago.
I don't know about that sexy part, but that's okay. Guys, we had so much success with the way that we brought on the first show that I just think it'd be really cool to go about this again. We're tossing out game balls, everybody. Bill, who gets your game ball for this week?
My game ball this week goes to my boy T-Sim, as I call him when we're hanging out. Trevor Siemian.
Woo!
Tossed 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys. You know, the Cowboys' defense looked like hot garbage.
So did their offense.
So did their offense. But the reason that he gets my game ball is the Broncos season hinges on how my boy T-Sim does. Last year he didn't get the job done. 18 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's not good enough. That's why they went 9-7 and missed the playoffs. If he keeps playing like this, the Broncos will make the playoffs.
Is your name Billy or Jevon?
I was just getting ready to say, Superman Miller must really love what you're saying right now.
I mean, holy cow.
I've never even met him.
I feel like the spirit of Jevon has just taken over you because you're sitting in that seat that he typically sits in. So
I mean, I've been watching him on the show for years, but I've never even met him. But, sounds like we get along.
I think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kindred spirits all the way. Okay. You have anything else to add on that, Bill?
He's got a tough matchup this week against the Bills. I think that's going to be a good test. So far he's played the Chargers defense and the Cowboys defense, neither of which are very good. The Bills pretty much shut down Cam Newton last week. This could be another low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a good early test for Trevor Siemian.
Well, Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, him having been the defensive coordinator over there in Carolina, he would know exactly how to game plan for somebody like Cam Newton. I mean,
true.
I know that this is a little bit of a different story whenever you're talking about Trevor Siemian and the Broncos going up against the Bills defense, but the Bills have had a good defense for a while now.
Yeah.
Their offense has been very inept.
Right now, you can make the argument that Trevor Siemian is the MVP of the league. With his performance in week 1,
yeah,
and then this 4-touchdown performance right now, Trevor Siemian right now might be the league MVP. Tom Brady had a bad week 1. Trevor Siemian killing it both weeks. I'm just saying.
And you know what?
Watch out. Trevor Siemian MVP, guys.
Everyone likes to make a big deal.
A lot of airtime here on these shows. Not just on Sports at Night, but on ESPN and NBC, ABC, whatever. He's been getting a lot of airtime for that.
And let's just be honest, before 2 years ago, we had never heard his name.
Yeah. Well, and Tom Brady, everyone likes to make a big deal about how he was a 6th-round pick. Guess what, guys? Trevor Siemian was a 7th-round pick out of the quarterback factory that is Northwestern.
Exactly.
I mean, in a way, Trevor Siemian's better than Tom Brady.
I mean, I like that.
I'm just saying.
Maybe not better yet, but so far more impressive.
Yeah, he could be a better story.
He could be a better story than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Jevon would absolutely love that. I'm certain. Josh.
Yes.
Who gets your game ball this week?
All right. My game ball here. What I want to do
is... You require the stress ball to present your game ball.
Right. Well, no, this is my game ball. And I want to take my game ball and I'm going to throw it at the referee for the Niners-Rams game Thursday night. Okay, we filmed this on Saturday, so week 3 has already started. I just threw my game ball at the butt of the referee that called the offensive pass interference on Trent Taylor that ruined the game. The game was amazing. Both teams were playing hard, and I'm not bitter that the 49ers lost. I am used to the 49ers losing. Before Jim Harbaugh got there, we had 10 years of just terribleness. I know how to lose, and it's okay. But when a referee makes that big of an impact on a game, I cannot handle it. Todd knows this. I can't handle it. And that was just such an extraordinarily terrible, awful call that changed the game. I don't know if you guys watched it. Not a lot of people watch Thursday Night Football, it seems. And I don't blame them because a lot of the times
the matchups are horrible.
The matchups aren't great. But even if they are great, the teams aren't ready because they've only had like 3 days to prepare.
Yeah.
So it's like
something needs to be done about that.
the games just aren't up to par with the games that you see on Sunday or Monday night.
That was the best Thursday night game I can remember, actually.
Yeah. And it was, by the way, the score was 41-39. The Rams won, which that was the first time in NFL history that a score was 41-39. That's cool. But that referee called that terrible, terrible offensive pass interference on Trent Taylor. It would have been, at that point, it was like 3rd and 10. Trent Taylor caught the ball, went out of bounds with, I don't know, a minute, 50 seconds left maybe. And we would have been in field goal territory, down by 2, after we got an onside kick. How often does your team get an onside kick that means something? When you're not down by 14, you're actually down.
I think it's like 7%.
Yeah.
I just made that up.
Thank you.
I'm letting you vent,
right.
and then I'm going to throw something out there. But go ahead.
My team got the onside kick and then was driving up the field to kick a potential game-winning field goal. I would have rather my kicker, I think it's Gould, right? From the
Robbie
Bears.
Gould, yeah.
Gould. How do you say it? I don't know.
Gould.
But I don't care. Just give me the opportunity to win. The referee took that away with that terrible, terrible call.
You are used to that.
Yeah, I am used to that. Just think about the 49ers Super Bowl against the Ravens when Michael Crabtree gets molested while the ball's in the air at the end of the game. Yeah, people talk about the power outage and how that led us back in the game. It did shift momentum. That happened. But the 49ers had to execute, just like the Ravens had to execute after that happened, and the Niners were doing better. The Niners put themselves in position to win that game. First of all, Ed Reed was offsides on the 2-point conversion before that. Then after that, when we had a potential to win the game, Kaepernick throws it up to Crabtree, and while the ball's in the air, Jimmy Smith, the cornerback for the Ravens, is grabbing him. And there's pictures of it, and I've sent them to Todd and Billy before. You can see his hand grabbing his jersey like this.
Just like
tugging.
that.
You see the strain of the fabric. Anyway, so then I'm going to throw my ball at the ref, his butt. I don't want to hurt him. I just want to hit him in the butt and say, that was bad. Bad ref. Then I'm going to pick my game ball up and hand it to Michael Crabtree. He scored 3 touchdowns.
I've been waiting this entire time for this. You do understand that the game ball is meant for players that perform well or something along those lines.
Right. But
and then you're sitting there talking about, I'm throwing the game ball at the ref because he blew it.
Right. Well, I'm going to take, my idea is I have the game ball in my hand. I throw it at the butt of the referee. It hits him. He goes, ooh. And I say, bad ref. And then I pick the ball up, and then I hand it to Michael Crabtree because he kicked butt.
Todd, Josh does whatever he wants with balls.
Thank you.
We've both known him for years. This shouldn't come as any surprise to us.
Moving on. My game ball, I need 11 of them because
We only have 10.
Really gonna
We only have 10.
I apologize. My math is not that good. That's why I'm doing these shows.
Josh 3-1.
Good point. My game ball goes to the entire Denver Broncos defense.
Wow. Well, we are. Is Jevon around the corner somewhere? Why do we keep talking about the Broncos? But they did have a great performance.
Oh no, it may seem like I'm kind of kissing ass right now, but don't worry, I'm gonna blow all that up here in a little bit, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Right. But particularly, my game ball goes to Aqib Talib, the cornerback for the Broncos. Guys, that no-fly zone is absolutely in full swing. It's in midseason form already. We're just 2 games into the season, and they're absolutely just balling out right now. They complete the defensive front for the Broncos, absolutely neutralized. They neutered, if you will, the best offensive line in the league. They held Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm throwing you a bone on this one here because you pointed this out to me in a freaking meme, and I'm not appreciative of that. Zeke had 8 yards rushing. Tom Brady, 9 yards rushing.
Ouch.
So I sent that meme to Todd, and under it I put ha 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 ha.
You ran out of room. There's only so many characters allowed.
That was funny, Josh.
Ha 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 ha. The Dallas receivers absolutely could not get any separation whatsoever. It didn't matter if it was Bryce Butler, Des Bryant. Good God Almighty! It's he had a hard time with Jack Rabbit, Janoris Jenkins with the Giants, and now Aqib Talib. I'm starting to wonder if he's beginning to regress before he needs to.
Yeah, I feel like that might be the trend he's going. Also, is that really that guy's official nickname, Jack Rabbit?
That's what he prefers to be called, much like Adam Jones prefers to be called Pac-Man.
So he chose to be called Jack Rabbit.
Pac-Man, I get.
Boing,
it.
boing, 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 boing.
I mean, you
Yeah,
need ghosts.
exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's a
jackrabbit. What's cool about a jackrabbit?
I don't know, man.
I don't know
Apparently,
about that.
they're like
That's
really,
questionable.
really crazy and fast. But since we're talking about the Broncos here, I want to go ahead and bring this other part up. The AFC West has 3 teams right now that are sitting at 2-0. Mm-hmm. Who wins this incredibly tough division? And good Lord, I think the biggest thing. This is where I screw it all up for you, Jevon. I think the Kansas City Chiefs will win the division. However, I do believe that they will stumble once they get into the playoffs. They typically do every single year that they get there.
True.
They've only won 1 Super Bowl, and that was Super Bowl 4. I don't remember that.
That was at least back in like the 80s or whatever, you know. It was a long time ago.
Maybe in the 90s.
Yeah, man, so long
That's what
ago.
it starts to feel like. Kareem Hunt has absolutely just burst on the scene. Trahan, again, good call on that.
Wow.
He's got 5 touchdowns in 2 games.
Is he leading the league?
Well, now that the Rams have played 3 games, Todd Gurley is because
Right,
he has 6 now, and he only had 6 all of last year.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy to think about too. Alex Smith is still playing well. I didn't have as much of an impact. Yeah, big Alex Smith fan. He's
forever.
Yeah, a 49ers fan. But and Travis Kelce is finally starting to play with the swag that he did last year. And that defense, they're still playing lights out. Cornerback Marcus Peters is on his receivers like a freaking shadow. And Justin Houston, he's finally healthy. He has played in his first 2 games. He's played like a man possessed. Bill, what do you got? Who takes this division that's proven, at least in the early going, to be highly, highly competitive?
Don't say Broncos. We've been kissing Broncos' ass all show. Don't do it.
I've got to agree with Todd here. I'm going with the Chiefs. I mean, who thought that...
We're on a podcast. You're not supposed to agree with me.
I'm sorry. I mean, Chargers. Chargers are going to win the division.
You know what's funny about the Chargers? Their only reason that they are 0-2 right now is because of a special teams gaffe at the end of the games. The blocked kick against the Broncos right there at the end of regulation, and then them missing that field goal that would have put them up was over the Dolphins last week. Yeah. I mean, the Chargers, even though they're sitting 0-2, they could just as easily be 2-0. I'm sorry I cut you off, but I just had to throw that in there.
They're a solid 0-2 team, unlike a couple teams I'm going to talk about later. A little foreshadowing there for you.
Nice.
I'm going with the Chiefs. Who would have ever thought that we would be describing an offense led by Alex Smallhand Smith as explosive? I mean, he's got these baby hands. Like he can barely grip the football. They're just so tiny. But when you've got playmakers like Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, K Hunt, Travis Kelce, when you've got playmakers like that, I mean, you know, small hands can get them the ball, and then they make these explosive plays. And they've got an explosive offense, and their defense looks just as good as ever. Losing Eric Berry is probably going to hurt a little bit, but they still look solid. You know, they still got Justin Houston. They still got Marcus Peters. Now here's another prediction for you.
Oh.
Let this marinate.
Hit it.
I think the Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos all finish with double-digit wins. All three make the playoffs.
So the only team that they're going to lose to is each other, basically. That's what you're saying?
Chiefs 12-4, Raiders 11-5, Broncos 10-6. Part of that is they've got an easier schedule than a lot of other teams.
Right.
They're going to beat up on the AFC East and the NFC East. I don't think either of those divisions are going to give them a lot of trouble. And I think the Chiefs' huge win in Week 1 is going to be the difference. That big win over the Patriots. I don't think the Raiders or Broncos are going to beat the Patriots, even though they both get them at home. I think that's going to be the difference, is the Chiefs' Week 1 win against the Patriots. So, I'm going with Chiefs.
A very early game to set the tone with.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm going with Chiefs, but I think it's going to be very close, and I think all three teams make the playoffs.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, Chargers.
Has there ever been a season where 3 teams in one division made the playoffs?
Yes.
It's like the
Steelers,
Saints.
Bengals, Ravens, all
yeah.
made the playoffs.
Oh.
I think it happened more than once.
Okay.
It's very, very rare, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, cool. So, go ahead and ask me, Todd.
Josh,
Yeah?
which team?
I'm going to go. I swear to God, I was going to say the Chiefs because I love Alex Smith. I'm a 49ers fan, which you can't tell by the hat, but this is from my dad. But I want Alex Smith in the Super Bowl. I want Alex Smith to win a Super Bowl. I want to see him raise that trophy because the 49ers organization that he came into was terrible. It was dysfunctional. It was just probably literally the worst situation that he could have been put in. Poor Alex Smith.
Just think if Aaron Rodgers had been drafted number 1 overall.
Right.
My God, would the story be different?
Who knows? His story would have been different.
Don't make Josh feel bad.
He would have struggled
it's
just like
not
Alex
about
Smith.
him feeling bad or not. I could care less if he feels bad. But
Alex Smith was put in a terrible situation. If Aaron Rodgers was put in that situation, he might have done a little bit better because he would have been a little bit more immediately ready for the NFL. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he would have struggled too, right? But if we would have kept him through this point, I feel like the Niners would have been a better team.
Okay.
Anyways, I love Alex Smith, and I want the Chiefs to take that division, and I want them to go to the Super Bowl, and I want them to beat the Vikings. That would be awesome because my brother's a Vikings fan, so that would be really cool.
You know what's very interesting? I made a reference to Super Bowl 4 earlier.
Right, that was the matchup.
That was the matchup.
So, but just for argument's sake, I'm going to put my boomer on, and I'm going to say the Raiders.
Channeling your inner Chris Berman. I love it.
The Raiders.
All right.
David
Josh
Carr.
Boomer Hell, back to you.
That's right. David Carr, killing it. Marshawn Lynch hasn't missed a step. He took a year off to go travel the world and do Marshawn Lynch stuff because he's awesome.
Eat Skittles around
Skittles,
the world.
and now he's back on the sidelines dancing and flipping his hair around, looking amazing. On the field, he's looking great, looking powerful, running people over. My boy, Michael Crabtree, out there killing it. 3 touchdown passes. And these weren't just like open, wide open in the end zone stuff. He's making plays. Michael Crabtree is killing it out there.
He's a playmaker. He
Playmaker.
makes plays.
Just like Michael Irvin. It kind of reminded me of that, the way that he's
Just
playing.
like Bryant Reeves.
Just like Brian Reeves. Great comparison. Perfect.
Full circle.
Full circle.
You could totally make a case of Michael Crabtree being the best number 2 receiver in all of football.
Well, and Cooper's not putting up the numbers. I mean, I guess on the field and maybe when Carr's making his reads, he's looking at Cooper first and he's probably triple teamed.
Well, you also have to think, Cooper, largely because of the name and what have you, he's going to be drawing the team's best corner.
And he's just bigger, right? He's a bigger guy.
He is a bigger guy, yes.
Crabtree's just an athletic little Ninja Turtle. He looks like Michelangelo out there or something. That's what he's always reminded me of.
That's what I've always thought.
Baby.
Yeah.
He just, so really, you've had the same thought.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. So I'm going to say the Raiders go. Like, how, this is so weird. Like, we've been praising the Broncos, talking about Trevor Simeon's going to be MVP, and he's out there killing it. And we have the opportunity to push the Broncos up through the playoffs in this conversation, and we're not doing it.
Yeah, because we're all on the Chiefs apparently.
Well,
but here's the thing: there is a huge difference between playoff success and regular season success.
Playoffs?
Yeah. And that's the reason why we are talking about the Chiefs right now, because we're talking about them winning their division. just because you win your division, just trust me, I know all about this. Was Dallas had home field advantage last year. Just because you do that does not necessarily translate into playoff success. That's
Also,
why we're saying Kansas City and not either Denver or Oakland.
And
On the other hand, you did talk a little bit more about Oakland, so naturally you're the monkey wrench in all of this.
So, also what I want to say is that Alex Smith has playoff experience. Okay? He was the quarterback of the winning team of one of the best football games to have ever been played.
You're talking about that divisional playoff game against the Saints.
Nobody
Back in
talks
2011.
about that game. There were 4 lead changes in the last 5 minutes of that game. If you go to YouTube right now, look up, search 49ers, Saints, 2011-2012 divisional round.
Right. And if you're also on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel, Sports at Night.
I'm not sure what that means. But
I should do that. I didn't know that was
You're
a
on
thing.
the show, dipshit. You should.
anyways, so this game was awesome. And Alex Smith has playoff experience. So that's where I'm going to disagree with you, Boopa the Snoot. I'm going to say that when the Chiefs make the playoffs, even if they don't win the division and they get in as a wild card, I say that they at least get to the championship game. At least. Alex Smith's been there. He is determined. He doesn't want to be remembered as, at one time, a potential bust. People were talking bust for a while.
They really were until Harbaugh got there.
Until Harbaugh got there, and then he started playing really well. And then he had the unfortunate situation of getting a concussion and having Colin Kaepernick come in there and look like the new breed of quarterback. Kaepernick, when he came in, that half a season and he went to the Super Bowl, and then the next 2 seasons, he played well. And he was fun to watch.
Thanks to Jim Harbaugh, I mean, people forgot about his small hands for a while. And now Andy Reid is doing the same thing. Let's talk about the job Andy Reid has done. He got run out of Philadelphia, went to Kansas City. He's having the same type of success.
What?
Looks like you can put any running back in there. Jamal Charles, K. Hunt.
Why are you so obsessed with the size of Alex Smith's hands?
I'm just saying, he's got these little baby hands. He can barely throw the football, and yet he's so successful. It's inspirational to me as a human being.
Well, then Donald Trump's a huge inspiration, right?
Oh.
He's president of the United States with the babiest of hands.
Let's
Moving on. What's the next subject?
Let's
Next
talk about the
subject
most
is-
exciting matchups this week.
Yes,
in the
let's
NFL.
do that. I mean,
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time talking about one division, and I guess in particular the Kansas City Chiefs. But guys, we have a whole league to analyze. So, who do you consider to be the most intriguing matchup for this week? Josh, I know that you could not care less about any of these games, but why don't you just tell us, which one it is that you're most looking forward to?
This is going to sound like a joke, but it's not. I'm going to start it with a joke, but then I'm going to let you know that it's not really a joke.
Hence the reason he couldn't care less.
So, listen. The 2 powerhouse franchises in the league right now. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Cleveland Browns. Okay, that was my joke. This is me saying it's not really a joke. I love when crap teams play each other because those games have the possibility of being high scoring, They tend to be the ones that are like 40-30, you know what I mean? Because these teams just ball out because they suck. Typically
Because they can't stop each other.
they can't stop each other. And with these 2 teams in particular, their defenses are terrible. So I feel like that game has the potential to come down to the wire, and I really hope it does, because I watch NFL Red Zone, and these games that come down to the wire I get to watch. So I'm going to really seriously say that the game that I'm looking forward to the most, now that the 49ers have been cheated out of a possibility of kicking a game-winning field goal by a terrible referee, I'm going to say that my Week 3 matchup that I'm looking forward to the most would be Browns, Colts.
Okay.
I'm going to go refill on my orange juice.
By all means, you go right ahead.
Here, Josh. Hey.
Oh, I got you, bro. Got to fill up these orange juices.
Okay, so that being said, I'm going the exact opposite direction. There is only one matchup this week that has 2 undefeated teams. That is the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions. The Falcons show that they are a threat. Still, after absolutely just ripping apart the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night.
I was shocked.
It
made it look easy.
It always seems like it's like a game of matchups with so many of these. Thank you. With so many of these different teams. But it really looks like the Atlanta Falcons are tailor-made to absolutely just rip apart teams like Green Bay.
I agree.
All right, there we go. The Lions are proving that they are absolutely just no slouch themselves. They took out the Cardinals. And granted, on national TV, they also ripped apart the New York Football Giants.
That's not saying much. Hi, Will.
I know it's really not saying much at this juncture. But this game does give them a great barometer right here, because it'll show them exactly where it is that they are in the pecking order of things. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to win the game necessarily, but I do feel like it should be a good game.
Yeah.
It really should.
No
because
matter...
the Lions are never out of a game with Stafford at the helm. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about the two Matts being the ideal matchup here. Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan. That should be really, really epic. But I'm going to go with another matchup that not a lot of people are talking about that could absolutely decide the game. Falcons left tackle Jake Matthews against Ziggy Ansah for the Lions. Whichever one of those two win the battle, if Ziggy is in the Falcons' backfield for the majority of that game, that could completely turn it in Detroit's favor. But if Jake Matthews wins that, Matt Ryan's going to have plenty of time, and that's not going to bode very well.
Yeah.
Bill, what is the matchup you are most looking forward to, man?
Well, I'm not even joking. Josh stole my game.
Are you serious?
I've got a page of notes here about Browns at Colts.
I am so
Oh
sorry.
my God, he
That was
really
my
does.
I need you to just go through them, man. Just rattle them out, bro.
Well, yeah, Browns at Colts. You know what? Y'all both know I'm a big 76ers fan.
Right.
It's tank time for these two teams, Browns and Colts. In addition to everything you said, one intriguing thing about this matchup is the winner is really the loser. You're not going anywhere this year, Browns or Colts. All you're doing is hurting your draft position by winning this game. The Colts, there's already
It could result in a tie.
It could be a tie.
Billy,
You're
I want
right.
you to look me right here, right in the eyes, and tell me that it doesn't matter if the 49ers win. I want you to tell me to my face, because we're the first 0-3 team, okay? I want you to look me in the face and say that you truly feel that the 49ers are completely out of it and it's worthless if we win. We're hurting ourselves if we win. Tell me that.
Yes.
Say it.
The 49ers are hurting themselves if they win.
Okay, I kind of agree. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'll just share this real quick.
Those 30 seconds of my life will never get back.
When I watch 76ers games, and I think we can kind of identify with each other here. When you're watching the game of a team that, your favorite team is tanking, they have really no incentive to win. They're better off losing. While you're watching the game, you want them to win. But then if they lose the game, you think, well, it's really for the best. They're better off in the long run. So really, rooting for a team who is tanking, you're in a great position, because if they win, you're happy because they won. If they lost, you know that really in the long run it's better off, and there are brighter days ahead. There will be more
If
rainbows
they
and
capitalize
sunshines
on the
in
draft
future.
pick.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Colts, there's already debate about whether they should shut down Andrew Luck for the season. I say absolutely. Shoot for 0-16. And what's intriguing to me about this game...
Says the 76ers fan.
Exactly, yeah. We went 10-72 and ended up with Joel Embiid.
It's like the opposite of the Bulls.
Exactly, yeah. We're the anti-Bulls.
Or the Warriors.
Yeah. Warriors.
But if either of these teams want to keep up with the Bears and Jets in the race to the bottom, this is a must-lose game. And I'm with Josh. I think this is going to come down
You never hear that.
to the last second. This is a huge game in the race to the bottom. I'm going with Browns Browns over Colts in an overtime thriller, 23-20. Also, I've got some.
Really hope that happens.
I've got some stats on
If
these
it does, I will
quarterbacks.
give you $5.
If you watch this
Just
game
saying.
Sunday, I've got some stats for these quarterbacks you're going to see on Sunday. And if this doesn't get you excited for this game, I don't know what will. Deshaun Kaiser, 57% completion rate, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions.
Yes.
Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett.
Sorry, it doesn't matter. 55% completion rate, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. We might get to see Scott Tolzien if we're lucky. 50%
That'll turn the
completion
game
rate,
around.
0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So these 3 quarterbacks we might get to see on Sunday, a combined 1 touchdown, 7 interceptions through 2 games. So
That sounds like Alex Smith's rookie year stats.
yeah, get excited, guys. Colts Browns. It's going to be a good one.
I am stoked. We're both stoked for the same
Someone
game.
saved T.Y. Hilton, by the way.
Oh, that poor guy. He's talented.
Bless his heart.
Bless his little heart.
Bless his heart.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
I can't
Good
believe
job,
I
Billy.
said-
That was entertaining.
for actually talking about a game that is just filled with ineptitude. I applaud you for trying your damnedest to hype that up.
I'm excited. I'm going to go, when I go watch Sunday Ticket, side note, I can't get DirecTV because I have too many branches in my yard. So I have to go to restaurants. But when I go to watch Sunday Ticket on Sunday, I'm going to say, can you put the Steelers game on this TV? And right here, I want Colts Browns. That's going to be an overtime thriller. And they may laugh. I'll be getting the last laugh because I'm going to see a classic.
Right. And I just want to say that I will never forget when Billy said, must lose game.
This is a must-lose game if they want to keep up with the Jets and Bears for the number 1 pick. You got to lose this game, guys.
Wow. Okay, we're moving on now. Talking about losing games and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of teams that are losing players, like star players at that, to injury.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter which one of these games that we start talking about. There's going to be some that are going to be decided based on the injuries that have happened from previous games.
Right.
Right. Edelman and Gronk, bad situation with New England.
Yeah.
You mentioned Eric Berry with Kansas City. That's a bad situation for them as well.
Yep.
And
The biggest one.
David Johnson with the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of fantasy people I know that are pissed off about that.
Yeah.
But
Me,
there's
right here. Yeah.
my humblest of apologies.
Sorry, Bill.
Oh, yeah. That being said, which one of these teams, if there's some team that I have not mentioned that is best equipped to actually withstand the injuries to their star players? I'm going to, it's already been mentioned, I'm going to say David Johnson. They're not, the Arizona Cardinals are not equipped to deal with that.
Nope.
In the least. He is going to be gone for 2 to 3 months with a dislocated wrist. Now, he is on IR designated to return, so the earliest he can come back is by week 12.
Wow.
But the season may have long since expired for Arizona at that point. Carson Palmer clearly cannot carry this team.
No.
He absolutely,
Without a running game? No.
Absolutely not. He does not have the arm strength to be able to get this thing done any longer. Dude, you talked about the Colts. They struggled to beat the Brissett-led Colts last week. It required overtime for that game to be won by the Cardinals.
Sad.
A team that, in a lot of people's eyes, are considered a perennial playoff contender.
Yeah.
And they are bottoming out really quick right now. The ship is sinking. Their depth chart at running back right now is Kerwin Williams, Andre Ellington, and a washed-up Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson looked okay last week, though.
He is a
CJ2K?
shell of his former self, though.
Right. Well, but, I mean, still, a shell of your former self when you were that good at one point.
The NFC West is so bad right now that it is really not out of the question for the LA Rams to win their division.
That, man, if you look at that, Todd, the Rams are a decent team. Their defense is killer. even though they let the Niners score 39 points, which is not a very good thing, they're playing well. Jared Goff, much praise to Jared Goff. People were talking bust. I know you said you weren't a big fan.
No.
He looks good. He looks like he is comfortable in the pocket, and he's making plays.
He just really needed Jeff Fisher to be gone.
Exactly. Huge.
And Sean McVay, I'm still not a big Jeff Goff fan.
Right.
But
Jared Goff.
My sentiments
It
exactly.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But that being said,
Just like
I gotta
brisket
give-
from the Colts, right? Brisket.
yeah.
I'm hungry.
Brisket.
Hazar, will you fix us some barbecue or go to like Podna's or something
starving.
and get us some? By the way, Podna's does not endorse this show. But I'm just going to throw this out here, man. Sean McVay has absolutely worked wonders for that offense and clearly with Jared Goff because he has begun to make a bit of an evolutionary turn.
Yeah, he looked
to
like
his
a deer in
career.
headlights, and then now he looks comfortable
Right,
back there. Yeah.
right.
He
And
looks
since
like
you-
a mid-tier quarterback.
which is definitely a step in the right direction for him. That is hardly regression.
Right.
Since you've got the mic right now anyway, why don't you go ahead and tell me about the
Injury?
yes.
Eric Berry's a huge loss for the Chiefs. I know we're talking Chiefs a lot in this game, but
This is not a game.
in this show. Thank you.
This is not a game. This is serious.
You think it's a game?
Yeah, this is serious
It's
business.
a DMX reference.
I know.
Todd didn't
We'd
know.
have to censor the
I
next
don't know.
part.
TK, me and TK used to jam some DMX.
but we
back in the
actually
day.
did. Yeah. Don't ever think that we're lying about that because yeah.
I got Todd in the 90s to listen to DMX. Arr, arr, arr! Ride or die! Anyway,
It's dark and this podcast is hot.
it's dark in this podcast is hot. Okay, so Eric Berry is my pick. I think that I feel like the Chiefs will be able to recover, but it's still a huge loss, and especially since he beat cancer, and he was able to come
Yeah.
back onto the field. So he had one good season after that, and then in the first game of the next season, he gets this season-ending injury, and I hate it for the man because he seems like a really cool dude.
With all that he's had to overcome,
Yeah.
it makes it even more tragic.
Yeah, like-
what has happened to him, and he was very much responsible for them beating New England in the season opener because he was shutting Gronk down.
Yeah, but football is a violent game. These things are going to happen, and it just really
It was a non-contact injury. What happened to
and
him?
it's unfortunate that it happened to somebody of his caliber. Really to anybody, but still, like his story specifically with the cancer and him being able to come back. So
I agree.
That's my pick.
I agree wholeheartedly. Bill?
I've talked a lot about the Colts. I'm sticking with the Colts and Andrew Luck. The AFC South is so bad that if they had Andrew Luck, they could actually compete for the division title. Wow. I don't think the Titans are that good. They'd probably be my favorite to win that division. But I
Right
think
now,
the
I don't
Colts,
think you'd have to call it that way.
yeah, I think the Colts would be right in the thick of it if they had Andrew Luck. But the drop off from Andrew Luck to these scrubs that they're having to start at quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, Scott Tolzien,
Right.
Getting hungry.
they've been awful. Scott Tolzien against the Rams, 9 for 18, 128 yards, 2 interceptions. That is repugnant.
We can start calling them Limb Brisket.
Yeah. Well, their offense is limp with these guys at quarterback. That's for sure, Josh. But the thing is, I mentioned earlier that the Colts should shut down Andrew Luck for the season. Shoot for 0-16. Because if they bring him back, in say week 4 or 5, they could still conceivably go 8-8 and compete for a playoff spot when really long term they're much better off getting a good draft pick. So I think that the Colts losing Andrew Luck has been the biggest loss so far. Really, I would say it's David Johnson, but you took that one.
Yeah. So in the words of Billy Murray, Indianapolis, this is a must-lose season.
This is
Not just game.
lose
but
every
season.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what the Spurs did when they lost David Robinson. They ended up getting Tim Duncan.
And the rest is history.
Colts lose all your
5
games,
championships
and
later.
you can find your Tim Duncan in the next draft.
Or you're Brian Reeves.
Or your big country Bryant Reeves. Shoot for Tim Duncan though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would probably work out a little bit better for him, I think. I want us to end this show on something that is actually very, very, very painful for me to talk about. Everybody knows how much of a Cowboys fan I am, but this needs to be said. Zeke was understandably, when I say Zeke, obviously I'm talking about Ezekiel Elliott, the running back for the Dallas Cowboys, was understandably frustrated with getting completely dominated throughout the entire game.
And outrushed by Tom Brady.
Thank you for that again. But what I, and many other observers, could not possibly understand is the lack of effort and even that he appeared to quit. What exactly does this say about him? Bill, I want your take first. What do you have on the Zeke?
I don't think it says much about him. Obviously he needs to grow up a little bit. He's a second-year player. He's 22 years old. He wasn't alive when the first Outkast album came out.
Oh, man.
Let that marinate.
Oof, that's painful.
Chew on that for a minute.
I will.
Talking about chew on that, brisket, marinate.
I'm hungry, man.
Dude.
Billy, you're hungry.
We're eating food after the show.
Yeah.
He hasn't faced a lot of, football-wise at least, he hasn't faced a lot of adversity in his life. He's always been a man amongst boys, and now he's a man amongst men.
On winning teams.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a hell of a stat that I'm going to throw out there later on this, but go ahead, continue on.
Yeah, so obviously he needs to mature a little bit. After the game, he admitted that this was unacceptable behavior, that he can't continue to do this in the future. And for me, that's good enough. As long as that type of activity doesn't become a habit, which I don't see any reason that it will, I really don't think this is a big deal. People are going to blow it up because of who he is, but I don't think it's a big deal yet. Now, if it continues into the future, it's going to be a problem. Yeah. Right now, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Okay.
He's a young man with time to grow up.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
What's his age again? He's 22.
Blink-182 reference. But we're killing it today. Yeah. I love it.
We truly are, no doubt. Yes. Josh, you got the floor, man.
All right, so what I'm going to say is I feel like the Cowboys are going to be in a good position because it was called out. So therefore, he is forced to face it and forced to zap it. Otherwise,
a Zeke zap.
It's a Zeke zap.
Zap.
If he wasn't,
that should be a thing.
If he wasn't, that should be the name of like a play. A Zeke zap. Maybe it's like a toss out or something.
I thought you meant like a stage play. I was like, I can see that. You mean like a football play?
Maybe that's the name of his autobiography.
Zeke zap.
Yep. Anyway, so what I'm going to say is I feel like he will not act like that again because he was called out. But I do want to say this. I'm going to stay in Cowboys lore because we're here in Shreveport. Lots of Dallas Cowboys fans when it's convenient for people to be Cowboys fans, except for TK. He's always been
whether it's convenient or not, I will always bleed blue and silver.
So, but stay in Cowboys lore, right? Emmitt Smith, was he ever accused of quitting in the game?
No.
And guess what? He's a champion. Was Michael Irvin ever considered to show that he quit in a game, that he gave up in a game?
He was shown to do a lot of other things.
Right, but he is a competitive sucker. And guess what? Michael Irvin, he's a champion. Troy Aikman, did he ever quit in a game? Even when he had one of the worst offensive lines ever and he was getting killed his rookie season?
Nope.
Guess what? Troy Aikman, champion. Don't quit. And just, the Cowboys have the pieces to have that triple threat. So, just play, guys. I mean, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I was rooting for him last season for him and his dad during the playoffs. But to me, it's kind of inexcusable that it ever happened. But I'm glad that if it did happen, that it was called out. And I feel like it won't happen again.
And let's face it, with Trevor Siemian throwing 4 touchdowns, they weren't going to win that game anyway.
You ain't lying.
So better to happen now than somewhere down the road.
What was your nickname for your homie?
T-Sim.
T-Sim, that's right. T-Sim, that's right.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jevon's going to start throwing that out whenever he's back on the show.
His homie T-Sim.
Which he will be back on next week.
He can have it. I'll share.
Aww.
I'll share.
Awesome.
Billy is so giving.
Yeah, he was kind enough to bring some mimosas
Yeah.
for the crew as well. So
Yeah, we're having-
Orange.
I gotta-
What's some mimosa? This is orange juice.
This is orange juice, Todd.
forget what I just
OJ.
said.
No, Scratcher, we're going to edit that part out. So, Josh, just a note to yourself, edit that part out.
By all means.
But I'm not going to.
Fair enough. And I was watching First Take with Nick Wright and Chris Carter. And Nick Wright brought up a very, very, very interesting point. And I have to reiterate on that. In his final 2 years of high school, Ezekiel Elliott had 5,000 yards and 90 touchdowns in his last 2 years of high school. In college, in his entire 3-year career at Ohio State, the Ohio State University, he went 33-2. The only 2 games that Ohio State lost in his tenure was against Michigan State and Virginia Tech. Neither of those games, he got the ball very much. He was killing teams like Alabama in college playoff games. I mean, ripping them apart for $150, 3 touchdowns kind of thing.
Wow.
That's saying something.
Yeah.
And now he gains a career low. And when I say career low, I'm talking about every level imaginable. This man has never went through a game where he has gotten single digit
Right.
yardage. This is uncharted water for him, clearly. I have no problem necessarily with the lack of production that he had.
It's going to happen.
It does happen, especially when you're going against a defense that is as good as the Denver Broncos have.
Yeah.
So again, I don't have a problem with the production or the lack thereof. I have a problem with at least appearing to quit. The key example is on those interceptions that Dak threw, one of which was not his fault because that went right through Dez's hands and ended up getting picked off. Should have at least chased it down.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, when they were really trying to score like a garbage touchdown, because it clearly would not have mattered had they had scored. Nothing. No chase down. Nothing. Hell, Dak was trying to run him down. Talib there at the end. Because of the exoneration, because of the fact that Zeke is even playing right now, he should be damn thankful to be out on that football field.
I agree. I have one question for you.
Yes.
If the fact that Zeke quit in this game, is it that surprising to you?
It's not that so much that it's surprising. It's the way that he demonstrated this total lack of effort.
Now, if Dak would have reacted like that, would you have been surprised?
Extremely.
Extremely surprised. Were
Yeah.
you extremely surprised that Zeke did it?
Not as much.
Okay. I just wanted to say that. Go
Fair
ahead.
enough. Since
I like Dak Prescott. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
Houghton, Louisiana, represent.
He is a local boy.
He truly is. He has become absolutely iconic in the Shreveport, Bossier, Houghton, Benton, whatever area.
SBC!
SBC, baby. But Zeke has been causing far more negative press than positive results, especially here in the last several months.
Yeah.
He must display more professionalism. Dallas has said that they're handling everything in-house. And I applaud Jason Garrett. I think he is a really, really good head coach. But he is hardly a Jimmy Johnson or a Bill Parcells for that matter. Dallas is in early season's crossroads. They're sitting in 1-1. They have an opportunity to completely right the ship. Zeke can help, but he absolutely must get right mentally for that to happen. If Zeke can turn it back around like he's capable of. Okay. And he has an opportunity to do that tomorrow or Monday night against Arizona to start things back on the right track.
Yeah.
Dallas can steer their way back in the right direction here and probably win the division again for the second year in a row. Something that has not happened in several years. That division is always changing hands. Mm-hmm. But that could totally change.
Really, I mean, for Zach to improve, Zach is Zeke and Dak together combined. Yeah. We are Zach.
That's their couple name.
That's their couple name.
When the four of us combine, we are Captain Planet.
Zach Presley it.
Zach Presley.
I think we'll just keep it at Zach. For Zeke Elliott to improve his performance from last week, he just needs double-digit yardage.
That's not saying much. You can get that on one carry. There's a lot to say about Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys in general. Love him, hate him, I don't care. It's difficult not to talk about them. But we will dive into all of that next week, guys.
Oh.
Everyone, be sure to like and share our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and look for us on Twitter and Instagram.
Show us some love.
Absolutely. Please do, guys. Come on. You know you want to. On behalf of my co-hosts, Bill Murray and Josh L., and the whole crew here at Sports at Night, Real Fans, Real Talk, I'm Todd Knight, and we will see y'all on the next episode. Holla!
We did it!